Red Bull is riding high after Max Verstappen's second successive Grand Prix win at Miami, following the win at Imola, and it has got Ferrari boss Mattia Binotto worried. Watch ahead to know why. Ferrari, who has been usurped by Red Bull, has always had the early season advantage, but not this time. It's due to the fact that Ferrari has not had any major updates until now. However, Red Bull's fight with Ferrari is different from the one with 8-time Constructors' Champion winners Mercedes. The opening races of 2022 saw Verstappen wheel-to-wheel with Ferrari's Charles Leclerc, but according to RB team principal Christian Horner, there's a respectful rivalry that's not quite the same intensity. Ferrari is lucky that Red Bull suffered 3 DNFs in 3 initial races. Otherwise, Red Bull would have left the Italian giants behind already. At the Imola Grand Prix, the teams only had 1 practice session to try the changes before qualifying, instead of the usual 3. With reduced testing time, most teams chose not to bring any major updates to Imola, but Red Bull took a chance and it paid off big time. Red Bull's Max Verstappen won the Grand Slam at the Imola Grand Prix while setting a new F1 record by gaining 34 points. He got 8 points for winning the sprint race, 1 for the fastest lap at the main event, and 25 points for winning the event. Sergio Perez, too, picked up 25 points across 2 days, giving some serious competition to Ferrari in the Constructors' Championship. This has Ferrari a little worried, and for good reason. Red Bull were at the top of their game, true, but at the same time, Ferrari were out of form and off the pace. Carlos Sainz made an error by ending his qualifying in the wall, which meant that he had to start the sprint race from P10. He did make it to P4, but lost the position to Lando Norris. One of the strongest contenders for the title, Charles Leclerc, also made some mistakes. Leclerc could have finished in 3rd place with a good number of points, but his racing instinct made him push harder, hoping to claim P2 off Perez. But in his haste, he went off track, and by the end of the race, he was in P6. Leclerc apologized after the game. "I believe the spin shouldn't have happened today, and that P3 was the best thing I could do. We didn't have the pace for much more, and I was too greedy, and I paid the price for it. I lost 7 potential points compared to the 3rd place I was before." Max Verstappen beat Lewis Hamilton in the Drivers' Championship by 8 points in the last season. Leclerc's big blunder that cost him 7 points could also cost him the championship this year. Ferrari didn't have the best weekend, but how did the Red Bulls get so good? After round 3 of the championship, Red Bull had 3 retirements out of 6 starts, and it was up to Max Verstappen to overcome the second biggest points deficit in the history of F1. Red Bull needed a big score to get Max in the title race and get themselves started in the Constructors' Championship, and that's what happened after Imola. Mercedes had been dominating F1 for 7 consecutive years, and Max Verstappen defeating the 7-time world champion was no small feat. What exactly did Red Bull do right to achieve this? There are 2 main factors that brought about this unexpected victory: the aero regulations and the cost cap. To maintain the Pirelli tires, which were starting to struggle with the weight of the cars, the FIA introduced a reduction in the width of the floor from 1800mm back from the front axle, the limitation of winglets on the rear brake ducts to 40mm, and the chopping of diffuser fences by 50mm from their lower extremities to further reduce the underfloor's effectiveness. A new set of precisely built brake calipers significantly helped in minimizing weight. Along with the technical regulations, the FIA also set some financial limitations. Teams had to fit their operations under $175 million. This limit on spendings meant that they had to be strategic with the car development. Christian Horner believes that the new updates were a huge part of the result. "We took a bit of a risk coming into the weekend with a couple of small parts we introduced to the car, which is always tricky when you have only got 1 season. The reduced testing time was a gamble which Ferrari was not ready to take. Red Bull was up for the challenge because they had something that other teams didn't." Adrian Newey, Chief Technology Officer for Red Bull Racing. Newey has been active in the F1 scene for quite some time now. He was a part of F1 in the 1970s, in the days of ground effect cars. He guessed beforehand that proposing could cause a serious problem, and it was fixed in time. This is the reason that the RB18 barely bounces. Newey is a big advantage for Red Bull, and the reason for Red Bull's confidence in making bold choices that others may be hesitant about. Red Bull understands the proposing problem, which Ferrari suffers from. Ferrari also lacks the straight line speed of Red Bull. Ferrari started strong at the beginning of the season and are still in the lead of the Constructors' Championship. However, Red Bull is just 6 points behind the Italians. Ferrari is struggling against Red Bull. On being asked if Ferrari could beat Red Bull in a development battle, team advisor Helmut Marko replied, "I don't think so. And what we saw was if we put real pressure on, they're making mistakes. You can see it. Leclerc spun on Friday twice, Sainz spun today, Leclerc again, but it's a very sportive and friendly competition between Ferrari and us." When asked about how Verstappen looked with regards to winning the championship, he said, "Without his DNF, he would easily be ahead, but there are so many races coming. The important thing is we know we have such a strong package, so the championship will be very exciting." On the other hand, Ferrari isn't happy. When new regulations are revealed, the teams need to be quick to stay ahead of the game. Ferrari hasn't yet understood why their car is proposing, which is a huge issue for them. When Ferrari team members were asked about the pressure from Red Bull, they were quick to deny it. Binotto refuted the suggestions that Leclerc's Imola mistake had anything to do with pressure, although it had got Ferrari fans worried about their championship leader cracking under pressure. It wasn't the first time either. In 2017 and 2018, in fact, Ferrari racer Sebastian Vettel apparently buckled under pressure. Ferrari team principal Mattia Binotto, however, doesn't believe that. The mistake had nothing to do with pressure. Racing drivers are used to driving at the limit. The cars have harder suspension this year. If you get too high on the curb, you can lose the car. There will never be regret to ask a driver to push. That is part of our job. It's part of their job to try and drive to the limit. Obviously, mistakes may happen. Since joining the F1, Ferrari have won 25% of the Constructors' Championships they entered, but haven't seen a win since 2008. With all the teams restricted by the budget cap this year, Ferrari thinks that Red Bull is spending aggressively very early in the year. At this rate, it won't be long before its development budget runs out. Red Bull may have to suffer consequences for its aggressive spending. Binotto spoke after the Miami Grand Prix about the major updates by its rival at Imola. He said that it's not possible for Red Bull to keep up with the rate of changes without exceeding the cost cap by the end of the year. It's true that Red Bull have improved their car since the very start of the season, and they introduced upgrades, explained Binotto. If I look at the last two races, maybe they got a couple of tenths per lap faster to us. Now I have no doubt that in order to keep the pace, we need to develop ourselves and introduce upgrades. I hope, because there is as well a budget cap, that at some stage Red Bull will stop development. Otherwise, I will not understand how they can do that. Ferrari plans to bring its first significant upgrade package to the F1 75 for the Spanish Grand Prix. I think it's not a surprise that we may have a package in Barcelona, which will be important for us, he said. Ferrari seems to have planned very selective upgrades for its car parts, as they have waited 5 races before introducing a new development. Of course, with financial constraints, the upgrades have to be sparse. "We do not have the money to spend for upgrades at each single race," he said. "I think it's as simple as that, not because of an inability, but because of the budget cap. So we need somehow to try to focus development on when we believe it's the right moment and the right spending." Sam Power conveyed in Spotify's F1 Nation podcast, they, Ferrari, need to step up their game in coming races. They can't be complacent with the advantage they've had at the start of the year. That's now all but evaporated. We're about to go back to the European season where there'll be upgrades on the cars. Talk about Red Bull being the strongest contenders right now in the United States. He said, "Red Bull are really proving to be an unbelievable force now in this championship." Ferrari has been one of the most successful teams in the history of F1, but they're going to have to up their game in order to keep their position. Red Bull is on a roll and doesn't seem like they're going to be stopping anytime soon. Which team in F1 do you support? What are your thoughts about this competition? Let us know in the comments below. Take care.